The consequences were dramatic, resulting in layoffs. My ex-sister-in-law boldly reported me, questioning my courage. I laughed, reminding her that she supported the affair. I asked why she was so furious, suggesting the possibility of her also being involved with her sister's boyfriend. She was shocked and blocked me. Then, my mother-in-law contacted me, apologizing for what happened. In a call, I called her a horrible and greedy woman, blocking her before she could respond. As for my daughter, she continued to apologize, but I blocked her too. She kept looking for me, leading me to change my number. I sold my house and moved to a new city 8 months after the divorce, earning a good amount of money. I restarted my life, going to therapy, attending the gym, getting a better paying job, practicing boxing, buying a new house, and investing in cryptocurrencies and stocks. Now, I've built a fortune. I re-entered the dating world at 42 and, at 44, found a new partner and got married. Now, I have an amazing wife, someone exceptional in every aspect. She understands the value of a relationship, having faced similar situations. Although she didn't have children, we built a family, having a 4-year-old son together. I was happy, updated my will, excluding my daughter so she wouldn't receive an inheritance. However, my daughter managed to contact me 2 weeks ago. She sent 8 long paragraphs expressing deep regret and paralyzing sadness. She was in therapy and striving to change. Surprisingly, she showed up at my lawyer's office with $20,000, asking to work hard and repay every penny I spent on her. She begged for reconciliation, saying she could no longer bear the consuming pain. I found out her life had turned upside down. Her mother, my ex-wife, became depressed and was admitted to a psychiatric hospital. My sister moved in with an abusive partner and was pregnant with her second child. My ex-mother-in-law died in an accident, and my daughter now lived alone, working part-time for not completing her studies. She borrowed money from friends, but many abandoned her after talking to her friend's father, who called her toxic. My wife insists that I rebuild a bridge with my ex-daughter, claiming she recognized her mistakes and needs support more than ever. I feel pressured, torn between the painful past and my new wife's desire. My lawyer advises doing the right thing, but the decision is not easy. Life can change in an instant, and, considering everything that happened, I question my own actions. Even with the answers I found and the decisions I made, I feel lost, wondering if I did the right thing. Here's a real challenge: forgetting everything that happened, especially when it lasted for several years and involved various people in your own family. The operations response to the main question was as follows: even disregarding the affair, you married a very greedy woman and supported a greedy family. Greedy women don't raise honorable children. You had all the evidence of her nature through her actions but continue to support greedy people. You did the right thing for yourself in court and should continue to do the right thing for yourself. It was never you who caused all this, it was your own actions. I can understand that resuming contact will be a reminder of how you were betrayed by people you supported. You can sit and talk to your wife, telling her that you no longer wish to alleviate the pain, and maybe she can take over communication if she wants. However, tell her how much or how little you would like to hear. I won't lie, if it were me, none of them would be able to contact me, and I wouldn't change my will or get involved with them at any level. While they had you to leech off, they enjoyed betraying you. They only started apologizing when they had to face the consequences of their actions. If the guy, the boyfriend, were rich and willing to accept your wife and her family, none of them would have ever contacted you. They would be laughing at you, pleased that they managed to squeeze so much out of you. That being said, it seems like you were more focused on making money than helping raise your daughter. Your daughter disrespected you because that's what she saw everyone in the house doing. Possibly, when you weren't around, your daughter learned that behavior from the people around her, especially your wife and her mother. You trusted your wife more to help raise the child and didn't pay much attention to her shortcomings. Your daughter is not only the result of your wife being a terrible mother, her influence is also the result of you not having much emotional presence in her life. Your daughter began showing disrespect to you around age 8, roughly the same time your wife started having issues with you not spending on the father's care and wanting more attention from the mother. Her inheritance is a coincidence. If you had a chance to talk to her alone and understand what her problem was, you would have realized that your wife was bad-mouthing you, labeling you as a deadbeat and irresponsible father to your daughter. Now, your daughter is on the right path, and you are too absent. I know it's hard for you, but you don't have a role in the outcome of your daughter. Ultimately, the operation says it doesn't have the courage to make that correction. Correcting is one thing, but hearing the painful details of what's happening is another. She had 4 years, she could have told me about this, or at least she could know that I can't just get over it. Even my now wife says my daughter disrespected a lot because she thought I couldn't get over it. So, if you've heard part 1 and part 2, now that you know everything there is to know, what would you have done in this situation? Fool or not, fool, and why? When subscribing, be sure to hit the bell to activate notifications and finish listening to all the stories in this series. Use the playlist at the top of the description. Dear viewer, I sincerely thank you for dedicating your time to the video until the end. If you enjoyed the content and resonated with the shared stories, I would be very grateful if you could share the video with your friends and family. Also, if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the HistoReddit channel, leave your like, and activate the notification bell to not miss any exciting and engaging content that we are preparing for you. Your participation is crucial for the channel's growth. Thank you very much for your attention and ongoing support. I have a non-identical twin sister who is charming. Throughout my life, my parents favored her for her beauty, while I, considered ugly and peculiar, was neglected. However, now in adulthood, they seek to reconnect with me and have invited me to dinner. There's something suspicious about it, and here's what happened. Make sure to subscribe, give that like, and activate notifications. My parents, in their 40s, treated me poorly when I was a 21-year-old. Faced with this, I decided to cut ties with them. However, now they seek a fresh start. I have a non-identical twin sister, and our differences are striking. She is incredibly beautiful, tall, and always met aesthetic standards, while I wasn't as fortunate. I recently discovered I am on the autism spectrum, but my parents never bothered about it. What makes my parents questionable is not just their lack of understanding about my condition, but mainly how they always treated my sister like an angel and me like a loser. This disparity goes back to our childhood, where her photos were abundant while mine were scarce. They spent more money on her, justifying that her beauty deserved more significant investments. Since childhood, I was neglected in sports and other areas, while my sister received all the attention. This disparity continued over the years, and I hated every second of my childhood. The feeling of hatred towards my sister persisted until I was 15, counting the days to turn 18 and finally leave behind this toxic environment. On the eve of my 18th birthday, my parents gave my sister a generous gift card from a luxury brand, while I received a modest bookstore gift card. They argued the value was equivalent since I could buy books I like, just as she would spend on expensive clothes. This absurd logic only reinforced my decision to leave. The day after my birthday, I left home without looking back. My parents offered help, but I was determined to follow my own path. Since then, I never maintained contact with any of them. Today, as I recounted this story, it's inevitable to relive the emotions that marked this challenging chapter of my life. As soon as I had the opportunity, I moved to another city to be even further away, as I also despised the place. Even after several attempts at contact through calls and messages, I chose not to respond, going so far as to change my number and remove them from all social media. I set up my email to automatically delete any messages from them, responding with a notification indicating automatic deletion and suggesting they not waste their time. This has been my stance until now. However, in the last 2 days, my father sent me a message on Facebook. My initial instinct was to delete it, but I ended up opening and reading it. This was their first message in months. In it, my father acknowledged they weren't good parents and admitted various mistakes. He proposed a fresh start, inviting me to dinner, where we could get to know each other better in our new versions. I am undecided on how to proceed. I don't know if I should give them a second chance or simply ignore the message and move on. Many people in similar situations would believe that curiosity about why parents are trying to reconnect would be reason enough to at least question. It seems unlikely that they had an epiphany about their lack of parenting skills without some hidden motive. I would like to hear your theories on why they might be reaching out. Some suggest there might be a health emergency with my sister, while others argue they may genuinely be sorry and want to apologize. However, there's also the perspective that a fresh start is not possible, as childhood was marked by jealousy and pain due to their favoritism. The idea of going to dinner without knowing if there will be a genuine apology is risky. They may acknowledge their mistakes, but there's also the risk that, during the meeting, they continue to favor my sister, aggravating old wounds. Perhaps it would be wiser to express my willingness to hear an apology but make it clear that I am not willing to pretend that all issues have been resolved. This approach seems to address many potential challenges that may arise in this situation, especially considering the differences in treatment between attractive and unattractive individuals throughout life. And essentially, this shapes the way your mind perceives reality because it's your life experience. If you've been considered attractive all along, you've had a completely different existence than someone who was discarded and set aside, relegated to a secondary role, as seems to be the case in this situation. The entire concept at play might not even be a conscious thing on the part of the parents, who might be unconsciously favoring the more attractive adult child. So, if this were your friend, would you advise them to accept the dinner invitation or not? Let me know in the comments. And, idiot or not, why is my wife hiding a new husband? My daughter has a secret father now, and I yearn for revenge. For 4 years, my wife was having an affair with another man, and my daughter was aware of it. She took my daughter on trips with this man, even going so far as to spend time together during my birthday. My wife would be out for hours, no calls, no texts, nothing. She went on women-only trips, where I would be left without news of her for days on end. We lived in my mother's house, and after her passing, my mother-in-law asked me to leave the house because of my depression, claiming that I should get over it. Interestingly, she suggested that I move into the same house where she lived. The betrayal came to light through my daughter's phone, revealing the communication between her and this man. I confronted him, made him confess, and now I had all the necessary proof to start my revenge. In summary, during the divorce hearing, I laid all the cards on the table: screenshots, videos of her boyfriend confessing, receipts of lies, and even photos of them hugging and kissing. Her expression soured when she realized I had all the necessary evidence. She claimed that I hurt her, but her allegations were easily dismissed, as there was no proof of what she said. Her lawyer was surprised at the amount of evidence we had. In the end, she gave in, admitting regret and promising to make amends in some way. The judge ruled that I pay alimony for 4 years, with no custody dispute, as our 17-year-old daughter chose to stay with her mother. Despite everything, my wife would receive half of the house and her car. I offered to buy her share of the house, using the money I inherited from my mother. I requested something peculiar from the judge. I wanted my name removed from the birth certificate. Of course, this wouldn't be possible. If it couldn't be done, I would renounce our own daughter. The look on her face was priceless. I responded that she put me in this situation, while my daughter screamed, "Dad, you can't fix this properly in court." I ignored her. The judge was an understanding man and understood my feelings but suggested that I consider forgiveness. Although legally rejecting her was impossible, I could cut ties of my own volition. It took 8 months to finalize the divorce, and I couldn't be happier when it all ended. I hugged my lawyer, as he was instrumental in this process. My ex-wife and ex-daughter approached me. My wife claimed I had no right to seek forgiveness, but if I could find it in my heart to forgive her, I responded that I no longer have a heart, as she ripped it out. My daughter expressed regret and asked for another chance, even going so far as to call me dad. I reminded her that I wasn't her father but a mere stranger. However, she persisted, stating that I should be happy because her mother is now single. I made it clear that I didn't consider her my daughter. Next, I sought information about my ex-wife and the company where she worked. I consulted my lawyer, who suggested I get a report with the help of a police friend and judge. Despite spending money to obtain the information, things didn't go as planned. I distributed copies of the evidence to the company, her boyfriend, and his sick mother. I burned one copy, keeping the last one in my locker.